Hello everybody and welcome back to Kade Plays Hellish Quart this Sword Sunday. And today, you know what? I don't feel like playing the game. Do you know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to let the computer play the game against itself. I'm going to commentate. What I want to do here is watch how the computer plays the game, and I'm going to keep a running total on this handy dandy piece of paper I have of who racks up the most wins, because I want to see who is the most powerful AI competitor in this game. I think this will be fun. So let's get right into this one. We'll start with some matches. Okay, here we go. We have Marie versus Gideon. Gideon lands an early grab and decapitates Marie. That is disgusting work. Even though Marie can absolutely outrange him, her AI really wants to go in close for the guard push. You gotta stay back. You gotta stay back. He is a big hitter up close. So we reset after the double. Come on, just poke him out. There it is. Caught him right in the back of the wrist. That's more what we want to see from Marie. Excellent stuff. And then she's going to get in close again. Really wants to go for that guard push. She's been hobbled and has been demolished. He cut her in the leg, reduced her mobility, and set her down. That is going to be a win for Gideon. What is our next match? Who we got? Who we got? This is going to be Connor versus Isabella. Connor immediately running in, closing the distance, using his shield to push her blade off, and then just punishing her in the arm. Is he going to perform the same maneuver again? No, this time he's going to play a little bit more range control. Goes up and tries to get in there. Forces the double. But Isabella able to control the range a lot more effectively that round. Oh, went to go over the top of her sword, but she made it happen. Sidestepped him, cut him right in the side of the neck, put Connor down. Alright, it's one flag to one flag right now. Big parry. Connor really relying on his shield defensively, but he's in too close. If he gets off his footing, she's gonna punish him for that. However, Isabella has burned out her stamina. This will be a perfect time for Connor to take advantage. But Isabella stumbles forward. The last bit of gas she had in the tank lands that kill shot. Alright, it's match point for Isabella. Connor's got some work to do, but he is not doing any of it if he's going to run up that close and get himself cut in the head. That is a point on Isabella. We will move on to the next one. That's interesting, watching the AI playing. I feel like the AI always burns the stamina with Isabella really, really badly. Alright, now we get Jan versus Jendrik. Jendrik went for that low little squat chop and got scalped for it by Jan's saber. Is he going to be able to rally for a comeback here? He goes in low again and catches another big saber to the face. And a second one to the groin. Jan putting the mittens on Jendrik right here. But can he close it out? Is it going to be a sweep? Went for the grab, didn't get it. Jan guard pushing for distance. Lifts a leg to dodge the low. Oh, voiding several attacks, but can't keep the defensive acumen intact as he loses his hands to the shepherd's axe. Jendrik still has a higher mountain to climb. Jan showing some incredible defensive play. Went in, he took a bonk, but he gave a chop. It wasn't enough. That incredibly long reach of Jendrik's axe catches him in the side of the knee and puts him on the floor. It is match point. Jendrik throwing some close strikes. Throws a longer one. Jan's struggling to control the range and just gets blitzed by Jendrik's combo. He weeps on the floor, remembering that time his hand came off. That is a point on Jendrik. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting the AI to play Jendrik quite poorly. But apparently it has some talent. Alright, we're getting a rematch of Isabella versus Connor. And Isabella finds the perfect gap in between the sword hand and the shield hand. Hits that forearm. Says, sir, you need to put that weapon down. Alright, starting with a stare down, Isabella walks up close and decapitates Connor with a viciousness rarely seen in the Hellish Quart ring. Stare down again. Connor first to make the move. Isabella goes for that grab again, but Connor says, not today, ma'am. Not twice today. Isabella pressures him, pushes his guard, and cuts him right on the elbow to take her second win. Devastating shutdown by Isabella on Connor right there. Wonderful use of the guard push and landed an awesome grab. Alright, now we have Alexander versus Jendrik. Alright, Alexander going in with the close flurries, trying to get inside Jendrik's guard, because Jendrik has an optimal range that is a lot further out. If you're too close as Jendrik, you're going to get a lot of bonks with the haft of the axe and not hit with the center of it for damage. Alexander knew that and took full advantage of that knowledge, taking this first flag. Alexander saw that high stance, knew it was coming in, and bravely surged forward to get inside the range and land the second killing stroke. He went for that high guard again, but it will not serve you here, sir. Alex says, nope, you brought an axe to a sword fight, and for that you will be punished. That is a point on Alexander. And Jendrik does not get to make it 2 today. Alright, Jacek versus Barabbas. This is going to be a very classic War of the Sabers. Early trades. Hard to tell who's up on that trade. Barabbas took a shot to his non-saber hand, which isn't going to factor much. But he was able to clutch out that shot against Jacek. Barabbas takes flag number 1. We reset. And he goes for a trick shot with his saber, and Mr. Quick and Deadly himself cuts him on the inside of the arm, evening the playing field for now. Jacek versus Barabbas. Tense, quick exchanges. Barabbas with a vicious riposte. Can he make it 3-1? Or is Jacek gonna make it 2-2? It wasn't to be. Barabbas controlled the ranging, caught him right in the back of the hand, and scores himself his first point. So, our next matchup. We've still got some big ones yet to see. We've seen Isabella and Jendrik both twice. Connor's coming back in with a vengeance. But it is not to be. Zera with a perfect sidestep high, catches him right in the head, takes an early first flag of the 3. Is Connor going to be able to adapt for Zera's style? Zera making good use of his squirrely backdash. Goes in, tries to take the grab. Connor says, get your hands off me. And then stabs him right in the forearm to take his flag back. It is 1-1. Reset position. Is Connor going to be going in as close and aggressive as he did this last round? No, he looks like he's being a little more cagey. Zera waiting for that moment. Goes in for what looked like a low left, but gets a shot in the clavicle directly for his efforts. Oh, and Connor goes around the incoming attack and lands a devastating cut directly to the head, putting Zera down and earning himself his first point for his 3 appearances. Connor gets 1. Alright, Isabella versus Samuel. Oh, the classic Isabella strategy. Waits for him to run up on her and then uses just one of her short, sharp cuts close to the body. She likes playing that longsword very close to the body. Samuel able to force a double. He says, no, you are not gonna make this 2-0. Not just yet. Right, Isabella moves in. Good. Throwing out attacks at her optimal range, still caught a shot in the forearm. And then another one in the leg that puts her down, evening the score between her and Samuel. We reset position. Samuel moving forward in long guard. Really taking advantage of his enormous wingspan. That man has very long arms, and his saber, let me tell you, it is not a short weapon. Alright, traded a shot. Sam took damage to his shoulder, but Isabella took damage to the leg, hindered her mobility so he could land that low lunge. That is a point for Samuel. We will move on to the next matchup. Who do we have now? It's gonna be Tarnowski versus Jendrik. Jendrik makes for that high stance, but Tarnowski punishes him with a swift cut to the underside of his arm. Gotta be careful sitting there in that high stance for a long time. Alright, Tarnowski dancing now, really taking advantage of his strong lateral movement. But he paused for a moment. He looked into the abyss and he blinked. That was all Jendrik needed to bury an axe in the side of his head for the second flag. Everybody in their high stance, but Tarnowski's attack is able to come out a lot quicker. Tarnowski takes the point. Savage work. Tarnowski really using his unexpected quickness to his advantage. Alright, Samuel versus Kalkstein. Kalkstein's first appearance today. Able to get in close and open Samuel up with a huge cut across the chest. Making it look so effortless. As we reset position, Kalkstein in a long guard, Samuel in a high guard. Kalkstein guard switches and goes in for a low, an offside lunge to his wrist. Catches him nasty with it. Takes the second flag. But he isn't able to clutch out and take the sweep as Samuel makes a sharp sidestep. 2 swift cuts to the shoulder and head region. But Kalkstein answers with a cut and thrust. The thrust was not necessary, the cut was enough, sir. Kalkstein takes his first point. Now we have the rematch of Connor versus Isabella. Is this their third match? Isabella throwing attacks into Connor's guard, poking him, trying to make him move, trying to make him make a mistake, trying to draw him off of his game plan. Connor gets a hit in, non-fatal to the shoulder. That is going to reduce Isabella's ability to answer, but it will not reduce it enough as she devastates him with a harsh shot to the top of the shoulder. Positions are reset. Can Connor claim his flag back? He's strongly on the defensive right now. He can't take the flag, but he does force a double. Really making Isabella rethink her strategy here, as much as an AI can possibly think about anything. Isabella with a strong opening sidestep, but Connor read it perfectly and answers with a stab right through her forearm, taking his first flag. It's anybody's game at this point. Matching sidesteps, circling each other like true warriors dueling. Isabella moving in, close quick attacks, and then moving back out. And with her mastery of quickly jumping in and jumping out, she's able to secure her second flag. It's match point for Isabella. And she's able to take it, a very strong and defiant parry into a cut right to the side of the head. That was all Isabella needed to secure her third point. She is coming out as a strong front runner for the character the AI plays the best. We haven't seen everybody though. Barabbas and Tarnowski have both fought today. Barabbas, very quick, very aggressive, looking to close the distance. Mixes him high and low. Tarnowski unable to keep up with Barabbas's fierce assault. Starting this time a little bit more cagey. Went for the guard push, but he said, "Get back from me." Little bob backwards. Went for the grab. Denied. Caught him with that little trick lunge. Went for the grab again. Tarnowski says no. He says, "Get away from me or I'm going to start throwing out attacks." Caught him again with that low. Went for another grab. Barabbas wants to decapitate this man. Tarnowski staying defensively stout. Shifting his stances left to right. Not using a lot of his high stance or his side steps in this particular round. And Barabbas able to put forth very quick sequences of cuts. One of them hits home, and he takes his second flag. Barabbas could win it all here, or Tarnowski could start the comeback of the year. Barabbas looking a little bit more reserved for this round. Tarnowski swinging wild. Barabbas with the quick back step, the quick side step, and gives him an open and unprotected shoulder to punish a 3-0 sweep, giving Barabbas his second point. This is fun. Who is going to be this next matchup? Who haven't we seen yet? Marta. We've seen Gideon today, but we have not seen Marta. Marta going to play a very cagey game. Gideon swinging absolutely wildly. He's got to watch his stamina. He's got the blue haze. Marta walking into close measure and then backing immediately out, baiting him, but the bait was too much. Gideon had to take it and took Marta's hand off while he was there for the first flag. Marta answers immediately with a short, sharp, and vengeful stab directly to his leg, drops him to the floor, and evens the score. Marta backstepping, creating a lot of space, drawing Gideon to her. She's watching for that lunge. She's watching the footwork. She's watching for his stance shifts. She went in for the arcing slash, but Gideon was able to come in a little bit quicker on her offside. Takes the lead again, 2 flags to 1. Gideon runs up on her with raw aggression in his heart and punishes her outstretched arm. Gideon takes himself a second point today and moves us on to our next matchup. Who's it gonna be, kids? Place your bets now. If you bet Jacek versus Jan, the battle for the main character. Oh, going in for an early grab attempt. But it is denied. Jan says, "I will keep swinging this sword. Don't come anywhere near me." Jacek says, "Didn't you hear? I'm Mr. Quick and Deadly." Jan says, "I did not hear any such thing. Go take a lie down." Alright, Jacek assessing the distance. Waited for Jan to go in for that low cut and reached over the top for a favorable trade to take the second flag for himself. It's 1-1 right now. Jan was able to take advantage of Jacek being in his opposite footing, but he took a shot to the shoulder. He got guard pushed. The second shot for that same shoulder narrowly missed. Jacek burned out all his stamina though, Jan says you don't have to outfight them, sometimes it can be enough to just outlast them. For his second flag. Alright, Jacek trying to back up. Not having the space to do so, but explodes back from the stage edge with a quick series of cuts, but it isn't able to get there before Jan finds the opening in the whirling mass of blades and takes his first point. The next matchup is once again Jacek against Marta. Oh, Marta catches him in the knee. Goes low, goes high. What is Jacek going to respond with? He does not have the advantage of his swift movement any longer. He's taken a significant injury to his leg. Nonetheless, he is still determined to try and put pressure on Marta, who's keeping her distance, holding him at bay with that long guard. Walks up on him with a clean parry. Close combat attack, went for a grab but didn't get there. Jacek trying to come back now with a sequence of attacks, moving himself forward, but he's running out of stamina, he's running out of health, and he is running out of time. Marta just waiting for her opportunity to capitalize here. Wants to do so safely, and absolutely does. A lunge up through his jaw to take flag number 1. With all the damage reset, Jacek is back to being quick. And he's always deadly. But can he secure a victory against Marta? It's a very cagey long-range game. Everybody's in long guard. Everybody's probing the parries. Everybody's looking for that opening. Marta with an incredible double backstep. Looks like she shot a quick lunge towards his knee. Gets into close measure. Is now very much off axis. And gets chopped in the spine. Marta apparently getting drunkenly confused on exactly where Jacek was. Concedes the second flag to him, leveling the playing field to 1-1. The grab is denied. Marta steps backwards again, voiding Jacek's attack. Isn't able to keep that guard up as he moves in, and concedes another flag to the main character. This could be the final round if Jacek's able to clutch up. Marta rams the saber, rams her rapier through his clavicle as he jams a saber into hers, forcing the double. Marta with some aggression now, dancing forwards. Very graceful, very theatrical movements. But she can also be very simple. It can be as easy as a single fast lunge that lands directly in the center of mass, or up through the chin to force a double in the face of a violent flurry from Jacek. He really wants to secure this win, but she is holding on hard in long guard, but drops it to commit to a slash. Tries to probe over his saber, see if there's an opening somewhere in his guard. She's got him backed up against the wall. She backs up too, giving him inadvertently a little bit of space. Got into close measure, but wasn't able to capitalize with an attack before Jacek explodes back out of the corner. Earns himself a point. And moves us on to the next round. That was cool. That was neat. I like that one. Alright, Hassan versus Connor. Hassan's first appearance today. Connor maintaining very solid defensive bulwark. Goes in with a lot of cuts. Leads to a pretty early loss of stamina. Hassan, however, did take an injury. He's finding it difficult to find the space to capitalize. Really slowed the match down. But Connor was able to get in there with one final burst of energy and claim the first flag of this engagement. Now with the playing field leveled once again, Hassan goes in with a guard push, but he's not able to get through the buckler of Connor to find the second flag. Connor takes it instead. Connor may be looking for the sweep here. Hassan backs him off, but the timing of that attack just not quite right. Connor able to intercept the incoming saber arm with his blade, claiming his second point for the day. Alright, Jendrik versus Laszlo. Laszlo's first appearance today, and it is a strong opener as he charges forward and cuts Jendrik right across the chest. Only 2 flags to this round. Laszlo can do it again. He is too quick for you, Jendrik. You cannot control the pacing in the face of the big red menace. A 2-0 sweep on Jendrik by our hero and Lord of all pincushions, Laszlo. Next match is Jacek versus Jendrik. Jacek stepping back into his left foot forward stance, switches it up to close some distance. Jendrik swinging with the haft of the axe, trying to get the stun. Opens him up with a shot right in the side of the knee from his axe. Big orbital attack right there. Positions are reset. Jendrik really fighting inside his optimal range, keeping Jacek away from him, and that proves to be enough for Jendrik to earn his second point. Now, who have we not seen today? I think the only one is Marie or Marina. We got Marta versus Gideon. It's a rematch again. And she opens up by allowing him to move into her range and calculatedly jams a rapier through his nasal cavity. Takes advantage of that open elbow, as I like to do. Lands another good lunge. The grab is denied. It's not looking good for Gideon right now. He rallies for an incredible comeback and removes Marta's hand. He said, "You flew too close to the sun. For that, you were burned." The grab is denied. Marta already landed 1 hit, using that backstep high right to get some distance. But it wasn't enough. Gideon was able to close up and do some damage, taking his third win for the day. Man, Gideon's kind of a demon, I cannot lie to you. That dude is a whole problem. Alright, now we have Alexander versus Tarnowski. I consider these guys to have somewhat spiritually similar styles. Tarnowski has a little bit longer range, but it's all about their footwork here. Alexander and Tarnowski both are characters who can move in some pretty unexpected ways, I find. And that can be trouble. It's interesting to see these two styles clash up against each other. Alexander moves in close. Big on those side steps, something that Tarnowski is also fond of, but he cuts back the other way. Jab step to the right, side step to the left, crossed him up like Allen Iverson and cut him in the shoulder to take back the second flag. Oh, gets in close, punishes the chesticles with a quick 2-hit combo. Brutal work from Alexander. Controlling that range, using the back steps, finds the opening and gives him a classic dueling scar over the eye. Alexander takes his second point of the day. Our next matchup is going to be Barabbas versus Marie. Marie's first appearance today goes in with a long opening lunge. She's really going to work on keeping him at a distance, not going to try and do any stupid guard pushes. She just wants to keep him back, throw out those lunges, control the range. Barabbas has opportunities to get in with quick flurries of attacks. If he can force Marie onto the defensive, he'll be able to close that gap, and maybe get in punishment range. She steps forward with a fancy fléché lunge. Doesn't connect. Barabbas throwing some wild strikes himself. Way out of measure. They're just touching tips. Barabbas goes in for another one of his fancy cuts and takes a cut to the side A lunge to the top, and then a lunging flèche right through the throat for Marie to take flag number 1. Can she do it again and secure the point? Oh, Barabbas takes an early injury to the forearm of his offhand, and a second one straight through the stomach. Barabbas lays down to take his L, and Marie puts a dub on the board in theatrical fashion. Our next matchup is Laszlo versus Samuel. Laszlo goes in quick and punishes him right in the side of the neck. He said, if you're not gonna parry, then you're not gonna win, buddy. Goes in with another extremely aggressive cut combo and relieves Samuel of the burden of his hand. Laszlo with a dominant performance against the final boss. Excellently timed guard push. Samuel able to force the double. The saber was already committed to the path it was on towards Laszlo's head. Doesn't take a flag, but denies him the victory unless he's willing to work for it, and he is. Laszlo takes a second point today. Tells him off, shaking that finger. He says, Samuel, if you're not gonna parry, then this is what is gonna happen to you. Alright, Barabbas versus Hassan. 2 sabers, and Hassan is the quicker. Steps over Barabbas' low strike and comes in with a fast counter, chops him right in the shoulder to take the first flag. Barabbas versus Hassan, round 2. Hassan keeping him at a distance, using his height advantage, using his wingspan advantage as much as he can, but he tried to throw a guard push in a very inadvisable scenario, and that was enough to cost him the second flag. It is match point between Barabbas and Hassan. Who is going to win? Hassan almost punished Barabbas for the same mistake. Barabbas looked to make a comeback, but took a cut combo, landing a winning strike on his open arm. That is a point on the board for Hassan. This moves us on to our next matchup. Who's it gonna be? Jendrik versus Jan. Jendrik going in, trying to come in on the offside angle to land that strike. Jan keeping him at bay with some quick upward cuts. Jendrik has been punished before for maintaining that high stance for too long and opening himself up, but it doesn't look like Jan is in a hurry to try and tempt that guard position. Maybe he did need to move in and try and get his point quicker, though. He takes a big shot in the chesticles from the Shepherd's Axe. We go to round 2. Jendrik taking the first flag. Jan comes in, but backs immediately out as Jendrik goes into his high stance. Relying very heavily on that position. Trying to get that big downward chop. The weight and shape of his weapon suit very much that strategy. He is backing Jan into the corner. Jan's able to sidestep his way out, but he just can't find the bravery to try and get an opening he can capitalize on. Jendrik lands a small strike. It's not enough to kill, but Jan is hurt, and he went ahead and hurt him just a whole lot more with a big cut to his upper thigh. Jendrik takes his third point, matching him with Isabella and Gideon, who are all sitting at 3. Samuel versus Kalkstein. It's a fine matchup. Samuel with that incredibly long lunge. Almost lost to Kalkstein's counter lunge, but Samuel just managed to commit enough force to that blade to drag a double. Nothing on the first point. It's a cut and thrust from Kalkstein, a classic in his repertoire. He went for a sidestep attack to try and get himself a little bit more room, but Samuel was able to read that, cut him in the neck, and take the first official flag. Reset positions now. Samuel goes in high, sidesteps to take the low, and slashes Kalkstein's legs out from under him in vindictive fashion. This could be a 3-0 sweep for Samuel, Both maintaining their long guard. The blades were bound. Ended in a double. Very much mirroring each other's movements for that round. Nobody quite able to pull the advantage out over the other one. Samuel goes low to his side again. It's not the killing strike, but Kalkstein has reduced mobility. He doesn't have reduced stability, though. He lunges directly into Samuel's forearm, taking a flag back. Could this be the start of a big comeback? Took a big shot in the lower abdomen and another one in the shoulder. Samuel says, it's not comeback season for you today, Kalkstein. You need to take a nap, and I need to take a point. That is 2 on the board for Samuel. Who is gonna be next? Next up, we have the first appearance today from Marina against Father Zera. Oh, perfectly covers her sidestep with the shield and throws an excellently timed counterattack from underneath it to take Zera out, winning the first flag. Zera went for that long forward high left. We know that the windup on that attack is huge, and that is exactly the kind of thing Marina is going to be looking for. Opportunities to punish and take her flags as she just takes her second. Zera in long guard now, keeping her at bay. Almost daring her to make a strike in the moment she moves. Father Zera proves that some of his attacks are slow, but not all of them, with a very swift cut to the neck. Marina blocks with her shield. Is able to do some damage to the arm, was able to hit him a couple of times, and it was enough for her to secure her first point against Father Zera, who, along with Marta, stands as the only 2 characters currently to have not won a match in the last 30-something minutes. Samuel versus Connor. Samuel goes in, is immediately met by Connor's shield. Just can't seem to find a way around it. High right is not the direction to attack for. Connor able to punish with a fast attack to put Samuel out of commission for the first flag. Samuel versus Connor, round 2. Samuel's still having trouble getting through that shield. And Connor using the deflection of Samuel's saber to create openings. Going for short, quick lunges. Trying to stay behind his defenses as much as he can. Gives him perfect opportunity to stab Samuel directly in the wrist and take the second flag. He could 3-0 Samuel right here. Is this the Demon Connor? A lunge gets through the shield though. Connor takes some damage in the shoulder, but it's not enough to stop him countering with his own lunge. It is a shot directly to the chesticles. Samuel lays down. Connor 3-0 over the final boss. Good beats. Alright, it is Marta versus Alexander. How is Marta gonna handle this one? Gets in close, pushes his guard, and then follows through with a beautiful lunge directly to the face. Can she do that again? Is she going to be insisting on getting that close? Or is she going to play a longer, more ranged game? The grab is denied. Marta, low stab. That's very, very perfectly measured control of distance. And Alexander just cannot get in close until he's willing to bully through the rapier and land a single killing strike, taking his first flag and evening everything up 1-1. Marta whiffs a lunge, goes in for a grab, uses her backstep high right. She's mixing the slashes and the stabs and is able to land a killer lunge directly into the back of Alexander's hand, taking her first point for today. Our next matchup is going to be a fun one because it's going to be Jan versus Gideon. In the opening cutscene, they were friends, but Gideon says we are not friends right now. One single decisive cut to Jan's head as he advances, takes the first flag. Resetting positions, Gideon takes a shot to the arm that is going to reduce his cutting power somewhat. Jan, meanwhile, windmilling his blade. Lots of sharp moulinettes and a savage 3 or 4 hit cut combo as he pushes Gideon into the wall and dices him up for his first flag. Gideon looks to make an answer, but Jan's hands are just too quick. Before he could even get a shot off, Jan pushed him out and hit him twice. Taking his second flag, Jan could win it here. If he's able to bring the victory home, he could deny Gideon point number 4. But he doesn't do it this round. Gideon is able to open him up, attack from that low right. Notice is the weakness in Jan's lower left side. Punishes that. Gideon goes for the grab, but it is denied. But he says, I don't need a grab to win. All I need is this saber. I will cut you just as normally as it were any other day. Gideon takes his 4th point. Gideon showing himself to be very strong here. Very powerful performance for Gideon. He's got an opportunity to make it 5 against Laszlo. Goes up for the grab, wants to decapitate our hero in red. Laszlo using his mobility to his advantage. Controlling the range, waiting for those openings. He wants Gideon to go into his left foot forward stance. With his saber back over his shoulder like that, he's much more susceptible to Laszlo's high right cuts. They are very quick. Laszlo just controlling the distance. Backstepping attacks perfectly. He says, who needs to parry when you're simply not in front of the blade? Gideon says, well, it might do you some good, because if you don't parry, you're going to take 2-hit combos like that, as he pulls out the first flag. Laszlo looking to make a comeback now. Taunts him with the step, but catches a fist to the jaw and then 2 cuts to the upper body, setting him down on the floor. Gideon really showing that his willingness to brawl can bring him out on top in certain matchups. Gideon guard pushes, but whiffs the punish. Grab is denied again. Controlling the distance now. Got that push off, but again was not able to capitalize on the push. Went for it that time, but that sidestep cut was just slightly too slow. Gideon had already recovered from the guard push at that point. Some very close shots. You know that he just shaved Laszlo's beard for him in a very major way. Wasn't able to get the kill just yet. Laszlo trying to make a comeback, and he gets there with a quick shot to the head from close measure. Now, can he do that 2 more times and deny Gideon his 5th point? Stomped on his knee and cut him in the face. A little low, a little high, say hello, say goodbye. It is match point. There is a stare down going on between Laszlo and Gideon right now. Gideon with the guard push, but he's out too far to be able to immediately land a killing shot from the opening. Both duelists very cagey now. Gideon whiffing a lot of attacks, leaves that elbow open, and Laszlo is able to capitalize on that opening to get himself his 3rd point of the day. Who comes next? Next up, we've got Laszlo versus Isabella. We all got Laszlo catches her in the jaw with the pommel of his sword, but he's taken 2 little nicks to the arm. Is he going to be able to recover from that? Is Isabella going to keep waving her sword around? Who can truly say? Isabella into the high guard. I could see that she was about to execute that attack, but Laszlo punished her for leaving that opening even a nanosecond longer than she should have, and takes the first flag. Isabella takes one immediately back, though, with a nice little 2-cut combo. One in the front and one in the back of the same shoulder evens the score. Laszlo circling towards Isabella, but his high stance leaves a lot of openings for her to hit him directly in the torso, as she did to take her 2nd flag. Laszlo moving up. Quick back step, very quick Polish cut. Takes Isabella right across the bicep. It is 2-2. Who is going to clutch this victory out? Laszlo with a fast lunge and a kick to the knee, but Isabella with an enormous lateral cut across the abdomen. That one was personal. Laszlo gets put down, and Isabella claims her 4th point of the day, bringing her level with Gideon. Next up is Jan versus Laszlo. Laszlo's going to have an opportunity to take back his point. Jan is going to have an opportunity to prove that he should have remained the main character. Alright, gets cut in the upper torso. It's a light cut though. Double guard push. Very cagey batch. Both duelists trying to keep their distance. Went for the grab, but it was denied. False step. Really just trying to get into each other's heads. Gauge this distance. Laszlo able to force the double. The positions will reset. And we will see what we can do this time. Jan goes in with a little push moulinet. But Laszlo says, no thank you, sir. I have already got one. Cuts him down for the first flag. It's a swift kick in the knee. We've seen Laszlo utilize that tactic before. But you can't kick in the knee if you can't get close enough. Jan says, stay the hell away from me, with a long cut to the head. Taking his first flag, drawing it level at 1-1. Laszlo with a guard push. Takes the opportunity to make him think about what he's done instead of capitalizing on it with a strike. An interesting exchange. Laszlo went in too high. Jan was able to cut him in the leg. Laszlo with reduced mobility is a sitting duck, though, for Jan to come in and cook. That is Jan's 2nd win of the day. Our next matchup is Tarnowski versus Isabella. Interesting match. Isabella's got range. Tarnowski's got speed and lateral movement. Isabella probing the guard. Oh, but catches a nasty cut across the bicep. That is a problem with Tarnowski. There are cuts that he can land on you from very close measure. There's a stare down before Tarnowski decides to go forward. He's trying to use that close positioning to his advantage. Isabella, not one to give up, not one to give in, not one to hand a flag to you without you working for it. Went in for the punch, didn't land. Isabella able to punish the open arm. And then takes his sword arm to even the score, 1 flag to 1. Excellent movement from Isabella here. Tarnowski now. Getting in close. Trying to shut down her range game. Looked like he was going to go step on her shoes. Lands the grab and decapitates Isabella viciously. You truly hate to see it. It's 2 flags to 1 for Tarnowski right now. He moves into his left foot forward stance, which puts his saber back over his rear shoulder. He switches back now, keeps the saber ahead of his body. He understands he's playing a defensive game. Takes a shot though. Isabella able to put some damage in. Close combat wasn't enough to secure the killing opening. Isabella guarding high, dropping it back down. Really mixing him, putting him through the blender, trying to keep him guessing. So Tarnowski doesn't know exactly which height is going to be where he will have to parry. He goes in with a long multi-hit combo, but Isabella answers him perfectly to force the double. Blade bind in long guard, and Isabella is starting to put pressure on Tarnowski's guard. He's returning the favor. He says, you are not the only one who has block strings. I do too. But does catch several small injuries on his way in. That is going to reduce his effectiveness as a fencer. Can he still take the opportunity to go 3-1? Or is Isabella going to bring it back? Isabella watching her stamina, being a little more conservative than we've seen her play in the past. But she catches a big hook to the jaw and the follow-up lands like a bomb. Tarnowski scores his 2nd point today. And I think for our last matchup, think this will be the last one I do. It'll be Marina versus Samuel. Can Samuel get through the shield? Samuel can't even keep his hands attached to his body. Marina with a swift sidestep and a harsh cut to the wrist. Can she keep that momentum going? She catches a lunge. It's low. And it's not a kill. But you know that's gonna hurt. She answers with an abdomen shot of her own, but that leaves her too close to Samuel, who takes advantage of the short range and cuts her across the top of her torso. Taking his first flag is 1-1. Marina able to use that tempo to her advantage, parries a strike with the shield and punishes the wrist for her win. There's 2 flags, and the third one comes at Marina's hands as she chops Samuel directly in the neck. So there you have it, folks. That was some AI duels. I'm just feeling kind of sick right now, and I'm struggling to focus a little bit, so I thought this would be a nice way for me to still get an upload out there for you guys to enjoy without pushing myself too hard or just playing really terribly. So, I apologize for that. I hope this was still at least enjoyable for you guys to watch. I'm going to throw the final scores for everybody on the screen right now. So it looks like our joint highest for the day is Gideon and Isabella, which I cannot say I'm all that surprised by. Closely followed by Yendrik, Connor, and Laszlo. Now, I understand some characters appeared more than others, so it's not by any means a qualitative assessment of how good anybody is, but we got some indications towards characters that the AI tends to succeed more often with. So, and that falls in line with my own experience. I definitely worry when I see Isabella. I worry a little bit when I see Gideon sometimes, because those are some dangerous characters in the hands of this computer. But that will be it for today. I promise, solemnly swear, I will go back to playing the game myself next week. I'll take some rest and medicine. But if you're a new viewer and you made it all the way to the end of this episode, clearly you like something you see, and if that's the case, leave me a like, comment down below, and subscribe if you want to see more of this and the other content I bring you on this channel. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and spending your time with me. You fill my heart with the warm, fuzzy feelings, and I love you. Other than that, there's nothing left for me to say except, I have been Kade. This has been Hellish Quart, this Sword Sunday. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.